The Sodor Railway, Season 3, Episode 12. Oh, Stanley. Stanley is the number 2 of the Sodor Railway. He pulls trains and is American. He is not very friendly at all. In fact, he is often grumpy and angry. And often gets the other engines into a bad mood because he's not liked by none of the engines on the railway. Why are you even here on this railway? You've been here for years and years. You're just very old, said Stanley. I'll have you know, said Falcon. If we were too old to work on this railway, we would be put in a museum by now. But look at Duke. He's like an antique, said Falcon. Don't insult Granpuff, said Stuart. Sorry, but he is older than us, said Falcon. I know, said Stuart. Maybe you could go to a museum yourself, Stanley. You're about half the age of us. And we're like 50 or something like that, said Stuart. I totally forgot my age, said Falcon. I'll have you know I've been in the First World War, said Stanley. That does not make it anything special, said Stuart. I could tell you everything that happened in it, said Stanley. Just go with your train, Stanley. We don't want to hear anything about your World War stuff, said Falcon. Fine, I will, said Stanley. I'll just go and talk with my only friend, Mr. Cat, said Stanley, and he steamed away. Mr. Cat, they both said. Stanley was carrying on taking his train, full of passengers. He said. He then came up to Gordon Edwards station to get some passengers. He then looks ahead of him. Oh no, not Duke, he said. Causing trouble as always, Stanley, said Duke as he was puffing up to his picnic train. Oh, I never cause trouble, said Stanley. Then why did you always derail, said Duke. The workman coupled him up to his train. Nonsense, said Stanley. I'll have you know I'm too narrow for these narrow gauge tracks, said Stanley. Narrow or not, you're lying, said Duke. No one ever believes me, said Stanley. If only you knew. Said Duke. If only you were actually telling the truth, said Duke. Now listen, bud, said Stanley. Here we go again, said Duke. Back in the States, our tracks were perfect, giving me the smoothest ride the railway ever had, said Stanley. I doubt that, said Duke. And then, once I arrived here, said Stanley, then everything went downhill, said Stanley. I really doubt everything he just said then, said Duke. Said Stanley. Well, that's something for you to go back in time to see, said Stanley. Well, if you excuse me, said Duke, I have to take my picnic train, said Duke, so if you kindly move on. Kindly, said Stanley. Look, I'm the only American engine on this railway right now, said Stanley. So let me go on and I won't bother you, he said. He angrily steamed away, giving out a hard wheeze of steam. Stanley. Later that day, Stanley was steaming back to Armsdale to collect his next train when suddenly... What? Said Stanley. He had came off the rails once again. This is why I need my gauge resetted, said Stanley. gauge or not, you caused this one yourself this time, Stanley. Stanley knew exactly who it was, just by the voice. Stanley, you know better than to derail all the time, said Smudger. Well, someone has matured since I first arrived, said Stanley. Ah, Stanley, said Smudger. Look, back in the States, it was not too much of a worry when we derailed. We had many engines to take our places, said Stanley. Now I have to go and get the crane, said Smudger. Just what I needed. I was heading over to Ellsborough West to get the coach, to fix the boiler all the way over at Bertram's mine, said Smudger. Couldn't Bertram just do it himself, said Stanley. He's busy doing his mine work, said Smudger. Remember, Stanley, it won't end well if you keep on derailing. I already told the manager, said Stanley. I need to be given wider. I need to be re-gauged. I'm too narrow for these narrow gauge tracks. So if he does not believe me, then what am I supposed to do? Lock myself up in my own shed, said Stanley. You don't even have a shed, Stanley, growled Smudger. You're right. I have to sleep at some other engine's shed, said Stanley. Said Smudger. This is why you sleep with Duke, said Smudger, so you can get your own lessons. Just get the crane, will you, Smudger? I have an important train to do today. Oh, okay, said Smudger. I'll go and get the crane, but I'm not doing this again if you derail again, said Smudger, and he hurried away. Duke was filling upon with water at Gordon Edwards station when Stanley came. Oh, hello, Duke, said Stanley. Duke was not pleased to see him. Oh, hello, Stanley, said Duke. Back to get more lesson teaching out of me? No, said Stanley. I already had enough of your complaints, said Stanley. Why does the manager not listen to me? It's my gauge, I tell you, my gauge. Look, even if it is your gauge, you're not going to have a good time here if you keep on derailing. You know how how Jordan Edwards is like. He does not get happy when the trains are not done. He's a little harsher than Gordon Edwards, said Duke. Oh, come on, Bud, said Stanley. Would he even have the heart to get rid of any of his engines? In a cruel way, said Stanley. Considering your attitude, yes, said Duke. Okay, said Stanley. I'll just show you that I can actually do one train without derailing, said Stanley in anger. He was wanting to prove that he could do a train without derailing. Prove it, said Duke. I will, said Stanley. He slowly and surely began to steam off with his goods. He then raced ahead, but failed to realise that Ulfstead station, he was about to derail at it because the tracks had been broken a little bit and he was going too fast for the rails to handle in the curve. Oh no, wait, said Stanley. Bother. Oh, Stanley, said Duke. Then a workman came running at Duke. Duke, did you hear it? Said the workman. Yes, I did, said Duke. Well, we need you to go and re-rail Stanley. Can you do that for us? Said the workman. Yes, said Duke. But I wonder how he would react if we didn't bring him a crane and had to re-rail him with people, said Duke. I feel like he does not deserve to be re-railed by a crane, said Duke. I agree, said the workman. Get some ropes and get some people, because this will be a hard work, said Duke. Yes, it will, said the workman. He ran to get some of the workmen. Duke decided to take the mountain roads to get to Orchard's road. He knew that if he took the lane that Stanley took, he would have a hard time derailing him. So he went to take the mountain road. He knew the mountain road was a quiet place as well, so he hoped it would calm him down. However, it did not. He came out the tunnel and came by the house at it. I wish Stanley would not derail as much and not lie about his gauge, said Duke. He then saw Stanley in the distance. Oh dear, said Stanley. Oh, Stanley, said Duke. He was not happy. Stanley, said Duke. What is it, bud? Said Stanley. You're not going to be on the railway for much longer if you keep on crashing like this, said Duke. Enough was enough. Stanley had it with being told off. He was about to give out his statement. Listen, bud, growled Stanley. This immediately got everyone's attention. In the States, it was never a problem if we had a crash. We would just get another engine to help us. We had tons there. And if there was a crash, it was not a matter. We could just get it cleaned up in about, 2 seconds. And you care about a few spills. About in the States, we did not. So let me do this right now, and I will be happy, said Stanley. He has given out his statement. We do care about a few spills around here. We do not have many engines, and if you carry on like this, I already told you, your fate will not be the one you want, said Duke. Grumbled Stanley. It was sunset by the time Duke had derailed Stanley. You happy about that statement you did earlier, Stanley? Said Duke. Well, if it includes you having to listen to me and accepting that I was right, good, said Stanley, then yes, I'm happy with it. I do not agree with you at all, said Duke. This is not the States we're no longer in, Stan, said Duke. He was very angry at Stanley. He never wanted him to arrive if he was going to be this nasty to everyone. Duke took Stanley back to Gordon Edwards station where Jordan Edwards was waiting. He walked to Stanley. Stanley, if you carry on with these crashes, then you will not be allowed to work on this railway. I've told Gordon Edwards and I told you, my gauge is not correct. And if you don't fix my gauge, you're going to have a hunk of metal crashing on the railway all the time. Well, we can't keep on affording new rolling stock if you keep on destroying them in your crashes, said Jordan Edwards. Grumbled Stanley. We've already lost over £50,000 on rolling stock this year, all because of you crashing, said Jordan Edwards. This got Stanley grumbled. If you do not stop this crashing, Stanley, then you're in big trouble, said Jordan Edwards. Stanley was really getting angry, but he did not speak a word. As for you, Duke, said Jordan Edwards, you can get a day off. I know it's not your first time rescuing Stanley, but considering his speech and you did not get convinced for it, then you can have a day's off, said Jordan Edwards. I know this took longer than expected, and I know we did not bring the crane to see how Stanley would like it if we didn't bring the crane this time, said Jordan Edwards. Yes, sir, said Duke. Wait, what? Said Stanley. You purposely didn't bring the crane, Duke? Said Stanley. Well, of course, we wanted to see how you'd like it. Well, I see you didn't, laughed Duke. Oh, I'll get my coupling on you, said Stanley. Ah, but you can't, said Jordan Edwards, trying to hold in this laugh. Because you need repairs, young engine, said Jordan Edwards. Duke burst out laughing. Jordan Edwards had to laugh as well. Stanley just grumbled. He still has... I'm not old, said Stanley. I mean young. Oh, yes, you are. You're like half the age of Stuart and Falcon, said Duke. What? Said Stanley. I'm like your age, Duke, said Stanley. You're not, said Duke. You're about... When were you built? Said Duke. 1900s, said Stanley. So you've been around for like what? Said Duke. Look, I know you're going to say I'm crazy, said Stanley. You about what? Said Duke. Grumbled Stanley. Like 19 years old, said Stanley. Yes, it's 1919, said Duke. Oh dear, said Stanley. My stay is not a good one. Stanley really is trying to get his gauge corrected. Don't you think so?